are you viewing the equity landscape from a prism of global central bankers having paused and a likely U-turn? And is that therefore a positive for even relatively expensive markets like India?
So Neeraj, for sure, I think that, even in this cycle post-COVID, the central bankers poured so much of liquidity into the system. And we saw a solid bounce back from the lows of COVID. I think we've gone into some sort of a post-COVID, post-withdrawal of liquidity scenario. And it now seems like that central banks around the world, including the RBI in India, seem to be now, I would say, more towards the end of the rate hike cycle. Maybe you may have one more or you may not have. It really depends. But I think we are certainly towards the end of the rate hiking cycle, right? And to that extent, yes, I do believe that, the markets will see some kind of a bounce. We've seen an improvement in the breadth of the market in the last couple of days. Very seldom have we seen that 3-4 months in a row, the broad markets continue to correct, right? So the damage was not so much at the Nifty level as much as it was for the broader markets. And I think it was a combination of both the central bank hiking cycle, but also the fact that the post-Russia-Ukraine war, we had very high levels of commodity prices, which impacted the EBITDA margins of most non-financial companies, right? Financials obviously took the entire burden of earnings growth in 22-23, but the non-financials really took it on the chin in terms of a negative operating leverage because of rising logistics costs, rising raw material prices, which now seems to be stabilizing at a lower level from the peak levels, right? So I think going forward from here, you should have a better backdrop with interest rates having peaked and also the challenges in terms of costs for companies also having peaked. So looks like that we are now entering this year with a far better base effect as compared to where we were last year, right? So you had Ps which were at elevated levels and you had a profit margin squeeze. And now I think valuations are much more reasonable than where we started last year. And commodity prices seem to have peaked.
Yeah. And that could be an interesting thing. So Hiren, tell us, there is a possibility, as you said, of the year-on-year operational metrics looking strong for a bunch of Indian companies. And there is a possible tailwind sentimentally and actually of interest rates in India not moving up further, if anything, at some point of time coming down. Is this a strong trigger for the near-term cyclical uptick for equities, Indian equities?
I would think so. I think that, there will be still some challenges, but I think on the whole, we seem to be exiting the correction phase of the Indian markets, right?
Okay.
And I think this is the beginning of the next leg of the rally up. That doesn't mean that, it'll all happen tomorrow, but I think we've already started the process for sure.